Arctostaphylos Bird Hill, spelled B-Y-R-D. Bird Hill Manzanita. This Manzanita is absolutely stunning. So this one in particular gets 10 to 12 feet tall. It's about 6 to 7 feet wide. It takes full sun to full shade. It has bell-shaped white flowers in the winter. Now, like most Manzanitas, it is slow growing, but the reason why I highly recommend this, especially for color, this bark is gorgeous. Now it does peel, so you can kind of peel it off. I wouldn't recommend taking your hands and actively peeling it because you can get cut, much like a paper cut. But if you have room for a plant like this and you're willing to be patient, this plant is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And if you put a light to this with a plant that has like a great green leaf, oh. And the other thing to note with this specific Manzanita is that it does not have an invasive root system. And as you can see here, it's grown very close to this straw bale office, and it's not destroyed the office whatsoever. So these plants are Dudleyas, which are really great California native succulents. This one specifically is called Dudleya caspitosa. And most of these Dudleyas get about a foot tall, if that. This one is Dudleya traskii, Dudleya edulis. This one is Stolonifera. This one is Dudleya attenuata. What's nice with Dudleyas is they will grow in sun or shade. They need very little water or maintenance. And they will grow indoors. I have a bunch of Dudleyas that are growing really nicely indoors. They rarely get watered other than getting misted every couple of weeks. And they're great for like if you want to make like a little indoor terrarium. There's also different varieties of Dudleyas, one called pulverulenta, which I'll show you a picture of. That looks like a really gorgeous rosette. And that one's called chalk Dudleya because it gets a chalky finish. And I'll actually show you one here that's potted up. So this is another interesting variety of Dudleya that's potted up. As you can see, there's 3 in the pot. So you could leave it as this or separate it and grow them individually. So what's interesting with this is it gets kind of a, I don't know if you can tell, but it gets kind of a chalky texture to it. There's another one also here. This one is hybrid. It just says species hybrid. But again, these Dudleyas and all of them are great as a California native succulent that will grow both indoors and out. And because they grow indoors in containers, obviously they do really well outdoors in containers as well. They will grow in tight spaces really well. Fragaria californica, California woodland strawberry. About a foot tall, 3 feet wide, filtered sun to full shade, semi-dry. The berries are edible. This one specifically has white flowers in the spring, but specifically in regards to the berries, it's not as big as the ones you buy at the grocery store. They're kind of smaller, but they are edible and delicious. So what this Fragaria will do is it sends out these runners. So it does have a creeping habit, but it is nice if you want to cover a large area and if you want food in your garden. Heteromeles are beautifolia, the Toyon, or otherwise known as the California holly or the Christmas holly. This one gets about 15 feet tall, give or take about 8 to 10 feet wide. It takes full sun to partial shade. White flowers in the summer, very fast growing and good at slopes. Very, very good for slopey areas. It will also work really well in areas where you want to hide the neighbors with something really tall. Prunus ilicifolia, Hollyleaf cherry. This one has white flowers in the spring, white to cream colored flowers. Roughly about 10 feet tall, as wide, full sun. This one's actually really good at stabilizing the soil. It's a good small tree as well if you want a small tree in your yard. And the berries are edible. The Native Americans use them for food. And this is Rhamnia coulteri, Matilija poppy. Unfortunately, this is not in bloom at the moment. Blooms in the summer. About 6 feet tall and as wide. The blooms look like an over easy egg. White with a yellow center. Kind of like a fried egg. Now this is great for slopes, however I don't recommend this in the traditional landscape because it will grow where it wasn't planted, which on a slope is just perfectly fine. Quercus agrifolia, coast live oak. If you have the room for this, and mind you, this is not something that would work well in like a 5-foot wide planter. If you have generous room for this, 40 feet tall by 40 feet wide, acorns in the spring, full sun to partial shade. You deep water it in the beginning and then you just leave it alone and it'll do just fine. The acorns can be edible. Gorgeous, gorgeous leaves. This is definitely something you need a lot of room for because a 40-foot tall by 40 feet wide plant will need sufficient room. So if you've got a giant backyard or a semi-large backyard, this would be beautiful if you had the room for it. And actually, there it is, in mature form. Now this one is probably at least a good 50 some odd years old, but just to give you an idea. And imagine around the base of this tree you could put some sort of blanket, hang a swing. Salvia spathacea, hummingbird sage. Evergreen, 2 feet tall by about 3 feet wide. Partial shade to full shade. Fuchsia flowers. And the bottom of this leaf is kind of prickly. Not prickly, I'm sorry. The bottom of the leaf is sticky. But if you got a shady area and you want a gorgeous plant to attract all the beneficial wildlife, I would recommend this.